Hi, everyone. Welcome to Real Women Real Estate Podcast, episode 17. Woo woo! Woo woo! Yay! Guys, we have a very special episode. This is actually a part 2. We enjoyed our last guest so much, we asked her back. So we will be speaking with Miss Brittney Golden again about creating and preserving generational wealth. But first, of course, we got to give you some motivation. So the quote of the day is, "Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less." And that is by the Marie Curie. Awesome. I feel like that's so deep and it's so spot on for what we're going through right now, right?
Absolutely. Offline, we were just talking about not being fearful. Right now is just not the time for fear. If you're not going after your dreams, if you're not going after hope, pursuing things right now amongst everything going on, if you're not putting all chips on the table, there is no hope. I mean, what are you doing? Like right now, it's like the time is just now.
The time is now. Amen. All right, Courtney, we're going to pass the collection plate in a minute.
I know, right? I need a little something too, so keep it going. Let me put my Cash App on it. Venmo.
Okay. Venmo. Okay, so like I said before, we're going to be speaking with Miss Brittney Golden again. We all, after the last episode, we actually had like a post episode with just like a fireside chat, and we were like, we got to have her on again. And so she was gracious enough to come back on. And we don't want to be ignorant of the current climate. And so one of the things we really wanted to speak about and to get Ms. Golden's opinion about is how we are actively bettering our communities by participating in real estate, specifically by reinvesting in our communities. So the first question I have for Brittney is just, what are your thoughts about this whole buy back the block movement that you've been seeing, and like how are you taking part in revitalizing your community?
I think it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing movement. There's so many people that are doing so many different things to buy the block back, whether it's individuals who are operating as a sole proprietor, business owner, to people actually creating crowd funds to buy residential properties, whether that be individual or in bulk, or even commercial properties. So the whole buy back the block thing, to me, what it means is to simply, invest in our neighborhood to where we're in control and we're not having other people coming in, kicking our people out, raising the rent, forcing them to go into other areas. So, having enough people to stay in these neighborhoods that they can afford them, and that we can bring our Black businesses or keep our Black businesses in the neighborhood and still have them be successful. Because, one or two things are going to happen if we kick our people out because the rents are raised and they can no longer afford rent or their mortgages, and then you bring, other people in there, they may or may not support Black businesses. So, they could feel that way. Or, you raise the rent and our residents can't afford to spend the money on the businesses, and then the businesses fail. So there's a bunch of different things that are going on. And like I said, I absolutely think it's amazing. I think that we should continue to work hard together as one, in unity to put our monies together to continue to educate people on the importance of buying the block back and keeping our neighborhoods to ourselves. And, that way we stay in control.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think Jay-Z says it best, which is, pardon my French mommy, fuck living rich and dying broke. And how are you going to be just in this country so many years, right, and still not be a part of the wealth generation? And the one way to do that is through real estate. It's been seen time and time again. I've said it before on the show that the one way that this president got wealthy was through real estate. You don't need to have this background, this wealth of education. This is something that you can teach yourself, and it's something that's really accessible. And so what we promote on the show is how accessible that is, right? And I think that can kind of lead us to this next point, which is right now you are flipping homes. You are into flipping houses, and you are not doing that with your own money. Last episode, we kind of talked about that. We talked about whether you were using hard money loans or investors, or whether you were using your own funds. And you talked about and you touched a bit on debt and debt generation, or coming out of debt and wanting to generate cash flow rather easily. So kind of talk to us about how you were able to seek out an investor. Like, how did you find an investor to do this?
One thing that I'm super big on is education and networking. And both of those things for me was accomplished through one custodian company, primarily called Quest Trust Company. And they are simply a company who holds people's retirement monies, but they do a lot of networking events. They do a lot of educational events. And so I just made up my mind that I wanted to get to know as many people as I possibly can in there, with the time allotted. And when I go into these meetings, I'm always, pocket full of cards, and I'm talking to people. And so it was one meeting in particular. I met a group of guys, and they said, hey, we're private lenders. We're looking for investors to lend money out to that are doing flip projects. And then from there, the next time I don't know if it was that meeting or another meeting, I had a friend that was coming to join me. I had introduced him into the group of guys as well. And then from there, we just kind of kept in touch. And it was probably months after we all met that we actually got a deal going. But it wasn't the traditional way. It wasn't going to the bank. It wasn't going through a mortgage broker. It wasn't, going to a credit union, and it wasn't going through a hard money lender, which is, one of the primary ways that people make money, and they're great, but it was simply through networking. And networking in this arena of self-directed IRAs gave me the ability to establish a relationship with people where, if there were some terms that I didn't like, being that they're a relationship-based lenders and not focused on corporate structure, I can go in and negotiate a little bit more. Now that I've done 4 deals with them, versus somebody that's brand new going in and, establishing a relationship on deal 1, versus now going into deal 5, I may be able to say, hey, this deal is kind of tight. Are you guys able to work with me a little bit on the financing terms or something like that? And so to me, that's important. And that's a beautiful opportunity to have that type of relationship built. I think that you can still potentially establish it with a bank, a credit union, a hard money lender, or something like that. But it could potentially be really, really challenging. So all that to say, as eager as we are to find properties, we also need to be that eager to create relationships with people financially, because I haven't used my own money not to acquire the property, not to flip the property, and not for closing costs. And, there's a bunch of different strategies that I've used in scenarios to where I'm just, I know who to call. If I need $20,000 right now, I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to make a call. It's not going to be a lender. It may be a family member or friend who's aware of what I'm doing, and they may not be satisfied with the interest that they're getting on their money currently. And so now that they have seen results, and I'm very transparent on social media platforms and things like that. I don't do it to boast or brag. I do it so that people can know and feel confident and trust that I'm knowledgeable about what I'm doing and that I'm having results. And when that happens, people want to do business with you. And so when lenders see that, they say, okay, hey, that girl, she, they can go back to my page and say, okay, she did this deal, she did this deal, she did this deal within this amount of days, within these, timelines, and that attracts people. And I'm just really consistent with that. I'm consistent with going out networking, meeting more and more lenders, more contractors, because, they may not always last, and, things could change, and you always need backups and access to your own.
Just the hustle.
Yeah.
So
It's
true.
the hustle.
Also
And I think
backup.
right now in the pandemic and what's going on, it's really hard for people to get out and meet people and network, and do those meetups and things like that. So I think that, people are being hurt right now, but I want to encourage anybody that's out there to pick up the phone. There were things that you can do to still put yourself in front of people. Pick up the phone, call people, and build those relationships. Don't just call them when you need something, but start developing relationships with people so that when you do need something, they'll be more readily available to give you something. But focus on those relationships.
I want to just jump in right now, and I want to stress the importance of what you're talking about, Brittney, because what you're saying is your business does not rely on your personal finances, correct? You're buying and selling homes, you're flipping homes using other people's money, correct?
All the way from the option money, earnest money, closing costs, initial draw for the rehab, all of it. And these are not people who care about your credit. They don't care. It's strictly relationship based. It's a piece of paper contract with no lien on the property. And if I fail to pay, I just ruin that relationship. But it's that easy.
So I'm going to say something. This might sound a little controversial. I'm going a little off script. But our people, we are kings at networking. I'm in sales, and that's kind of like an inside joke. It's like we're good at talking, we're good at connecting, we're good at communicating. Okay. So, like, why do you think it is that so many of us are not leveraging this, or are there more people like us who do have the knowledge and are leveraging it, and we just don't know it?
I think it's a lack of confidence for some. I think that some people really have a hard time truly believing that they are capable, that they are truly capable of doing and being anything and everything that they can put their mind to. I think it really takes, and I've done a lot of personal development work, it really takes confidence. It really takes, diligence, perseverance, all of those things to just kind of get out there and go ask for it. And some people are afraid of no, and I'm not, because, there's a saying, the more no's you get, you're just that one step closer to your yes.
Yeah.
And like Courtney said, there's no degree required to do real estate. So what do you have to lose? You don't have nothing to lose. All you need to do is open your mouth, which is what you're doing all day anyway, talking to people. Learn how to talk to people. Learn how to meet them where they are. And if they're super professional, then maybe you need to be super professional. If they're kind of laid back, then, you have to be able to adapt. And some people, especially in sales, and
speak on it.
Some people are just straight and narrow. They don't know how to maneuver when necessary. And it's important. It really is, because
man, this is like truth right here. Meet people where they are and be able to bend and pivot. And we, like you said, Ebony, we are the queens and kings of that. The code switch, maneuvering, pivoting. Yeah. We've been trained unconsciously to do this. So that's just key. I got chills.
Yeah,
so let's get back to this real estate. So we want to help people kind of figure out how they can go from an investor. So getting an investor, would you say that's step one?
Getting a lender, yes.
Getting a lender is step one. Okay.
No, getting your stuff together is step one. So
facts. Facts on facts.
You have to operate as a business. So if I'm a lender and you're a new investor and you come to me, what type of work have you already done? What type of research? What type of business setup have you already done? And so most lenders want to operate. They want to see you operate as a business. not Brittney Golden. They want to see you operate as BCWG Realty LLC, right? They want to make sure that you have all of your documents set up because of, you know, liabilities, protection for them, protection for you. So the first line of business, and that's exactly the first thing that I teach in my class, is go get your LLC. And here are the documents that are necessary. You need your certificate of formation. You need your certificate of filing. You need your EIN number. Get you your
AKA tax ID, because people still be like, EIN, tax ID number.
EIN, tax ID number, exactly. And then get your bank resolution form so that you can go take that and set up a bank account. Like, what you have to be in alignment. If you're operating as a business, those deposits and whatever monies that you need to send, usually, you know, long doc prep fees or something like that you need to pay in advance for accounting purposes later down the line. Like, all of that needs to flow. You need to fully operate as a business. And it's been challenging and a forever learning experience for me, and I know more so for new investors, to really separate the two. You know, separate yourself from your business, because it's not the same, especially when purchasing real estate. You do not want to compromise what you have established as an individual because of a bad deal. And neither is your lender. So the first step is to get your business stuff set up. You introducing yourself, hi, I'm Brittney Golden, managing member of this LLC, right? Whether it be 100%, 50%, whatever, you're operating as the business. That's step one. Then you move to your lenders.
So when you move into lenders, let's pretend like it's your first deal, because we, you know, a lot of, like we say, people who are listening to us, these are beginners, right? So you've gotten through, you've developed a relationship, you built a rapport with your investors, but how, and I know you said you walked us through how you met them and everything, but how did you build that rapport to get them to invest in you on your very first deal?
Well, of course, at the beginning, there's no rapport there, you know, at least not as much. I think just visibility. You know, we were always at the same place at the same time. Quest has these meetings on Tuesdays at 9:30 and 6:30. And if I'm looking for investors to lend my money out to, I probably want to make sure that they're educating themselves. And so if I were unable to see somebody, like, you know, they were able to see me, so they knew that, hey, she's showing up, she's getting educated, we're all in the same room, we're just doing two totally different things. They did interviews. So at the interview, they picked my brain. They wanted to know what my experience was, what my goals were, what the exit strategy, you know, short term, long term, my documents that I had set up, you know. So you got to be able to know how to sit at a table and talk to these people who may have millions of dollars in their account, and they're willing to lend, you know, to you on a less strenuous term basis, you know, but they're making less money, you know, because they don't have so many fees and different things like that in most cases. But, you know, you just have to make sure that you have yourself and your business partner, that you guys are prepared. For me, I had a year of real estate, you know, as a realtor under my belt, and then my business partner had a mortgage company. So we came in there like, you couldn't stop us, you know, and I'm very grateful for that partnership. A lot of people don't have it, but again, that goes into networking. You have so many different types of people at these events. You're not going to be able to get it done on your own in most cases. Partner up with somebody, take a little less, get what you need to get, and learn. You know, as a team, there's less risk and so on when you're working with somebody.
That's so spot on. I know when COVID first started, a lot of people kind of got freaked out because they're like, how do I meet people, right? And one of the things that I helped a few people on is just teaching them how to network virtually, right? Because you don't always have the guarantee that you're going to get a chance to go shake hands, but ultimately, like that would be ideal. But even, you know, with the pandemic, it's about building a relationship. It's about being visible. It's about being consistent. So that's spot on, Brittney. Thank you for sharing.
Ebony, take that a little further.
Those people were not just born 2 months ago, okay? And my thing is where I give people a pat on the hand. You can't wait till the last minute to get started. You never know what's coming. You have to move. You have to take action. You have to be confident. if you're not doing the research and going to get the education that you need, that equates to lack of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you have to be able to chime in on things like that, to spend the time to just sit down and be still. And it's hard to be still. It's hard to clear your schedule from just the busyness and craziness in the world. It's hard to clear your mind. But this is a business that requires you to be focused. You know, and it's not something that you can hop into a week later and have 100% success. In most cases, it takes time.
I think you said the key, the confidence. To cut you off, but it's a lot of it. It's about having the confidence, and having confidence comes from educating yourself.
Exactly.
If that's what you really want to do, right? And so we talked about the steps, right? So we said step one is like working on yourself, getting yourself together financially, or building your business, an LLC. And the next step what we were talking about was creating a team and a network. And that's how you would find a lender and reach out, right?
But wait,
and then
wait. Let's back up, because that was a question I was trying to get to Ebony on, and then we just had a Facebook question about it. How do you network virtually? Since you brought that up, Ebony, explain to people how you can actually network virtually.
The same way we're finding out all of this news, right? You got you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got LinkedIn. I've gotten, in the corporate world, the last 2 corporate jobs I've had have been from LinkedIn. And, they do your application interview on the back end, but from a real estate perspective, it's about sliding people's DMs. It's about joining the right groups. Facebook has tons and tons and tons of real estate groups.
Yep.
And all these people do all day long is just talk about deals. You got people doing acquisitions, you got people doing dispositions, people looking for money, people to give people money.
Yeah.
And it's just about, when they click on your page, what are they going to see? Right? Are they going to see somebody who's, what'd you say, Brittney?
It's just 4 pictures, or, it's nothing about your business. They're probably not going to take you serious.
Wait,
yeah.
So prime example, we're in a group, I don't know if Ebony saw this one, but there's a Facebook group, a DFW Facebook group, and a guy was looking for, I don't remember what he was looking for, something to do with roofing, I think, and people were commenting saying they could do it, and then one of the guys that commented, apparently he looked on his profile pic, he was like, really, the selfie in your underwear though?
Yeah.
And of course that took me to his page because I wanted to see what he was talking about. But
it's the same.
Oh,
but that's exactly how networking is. Like, even when I network in person, I still go to social media to look who I just met.
Yep.
Like, I mean, that's just how it works. And so to Brittney, to your point, it is about consistency. They want to see, like, are you showing up? And you can show up virtually just like you would show up in real life. Do you do what you say you're going to do?
Mm-hmm. The beauty about what you just said is that you can pick and choose who you want to work with if you're doing this virtually. If you're doing this on somebody with just talking like the old school of communicating and meeting them, you don't really have an insight like you have an insight by looking at their pictures, looking at their profile. You have more of an insight of them, and you can pick and choose whether this is somebody you really want to work with. Are they down for the cause? Because if they're not, I may not want to work with them.
Really, Courtney?
Something that's really big. A lot of people are going through this battle of having 2 separate pages. So I'm gonna speak on that because I was that person, and it may be a little different, when you're in corporate America, because you actually have an image to maintain, and if you like to party and drink like me, I'm sure your boss don't want to see it. But when you're in real estate or you're an independent contractor or something like that, when again you have these relationships, that you are looking to accomplish, people want to see a little bit of who you are. Like, who are you outside of your business, outside of your 9 to 5? Like, who are you? Do you have a personality? Are you fun? Do you like to spend time with family? Do you network? I post stuff, just networking events sometimes, like, hey, this, I'm here and y'all should be here. You talking about you want to get involved, but you at home watching TV. Right. And really networking is work. It really is. It's a part of the job. It's a part of the hourly pay, and it's a requirement.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that in there. When it comes to, and we're not talking about building a business on social media, but people also need to understand whether you are building your business or whether you are looking for someone to support your business, you need to be, transparent and be okay with posting some stuff. Give some content. I'm working on giving more content. I had a friend
It's
that
hard.
could give more content a year ago, and I'm still struggling.
It's hard. It's hard.
It's hard because it's time consuming.
It is. It is very time consuming. And for people who, there's a difference in being busy and being busy, right? So when you are actually busy and not just doing busy work, you don't have time for the post because it takes so much thought. You've got to put thought into your hashtags. You got to put thought into what your title is going to be, So it is sometimes a lot more effort to post, honestly, especially if you're thinking about branding yourself and you want to make sure you're on target with your brand.
Right. What you ladies are doing is so efficient because you don't understand how this could be helping somebody who wants to do this more, but somebody who is not taking the initiative on it, but will say yes to you, like with the quickness, like, oh, I'm not going to take the initiative to go and record myself. But if you ask me, hey, you want to jump on this Zoom and give out some information, like, I think this is just incredible. So thank you.
I think this is dope. And we appreciate, you being on the show. And I think there's so many people that have these same struggles. That just don't know, where to start, what to do, right? And so I think this is helpful. And I kind of want to wrap it up because I don't want to, this could just go on forever because there's so many issues and there's so much, I think, going on in our head. And it's so great to have this outlet. And I kind of want to wrap it up in regards to just, these deals and these flips and, how you kind of get this stuff going. And I think all of these are just important realms, right? We're talking about, getting yourself together, reaching out to the lender, focusing on your brand, the DMs, how to build and how to virtually network. And then how do you go about, just briefly, how do you go about getting the actual home, right? And before you even start on the flip process, but what do you do to actually get the home?
It's really multiple things. So I am a realtor. Obviously, I have access to HAR. There's a lot of people who, because I post on social media, what it is that I'm doing, and I'm very friendly. I have a lot of associates and friends and things like that. I actually started teaching them what to look for. So I have feet on the ground that I'm like, hey, you want to make some money? Bring me the property, and I'll do the rest. I'll run it home every time for you. And so. Going to the networking events, I'm meeting wholesalers, or even, my feet on the ground people, they're meeting wholesalers. And that's actually how I did the second flip. One of my insurance coworkers, I kind of taught her how to find number-wise, how to find a good property. But I also opened her up to my world, and I said, hey, these are events that are going on during the week. Join me, or even if I'm not there, show up. Go meet people, go meet other realtors, go meet wholesalers, go meet lenders, like go out there and network. And then, whatever you don't want to do, just bring it back to me and I'll do the rest. And then, I have family. So my family knows what it is that I'm doing. My last 3 deals have been from family members. One was a partnership. 2 of them was just a family member that got a referral fee for letting me know, hey, I noticed that these people in my neighborhood are moving out. They're renters, so you might want to reach out to the seller to see if they want to buy. The properties are really messed up. They're distressed properties. It's going to take a lot of money to fix them up. Most of the landlords probably don't want to spend the money. One of them, this guy was selling his portfolio. The other one, the people messed the house up so bad, they just didn't want to sell. So I said, hey, if you're going to come and tell me that somebody is moving, I need you to ask that tenant for that owner, landlord, property manager, seller's phone number. Don't just come tell me, hey, I got somebody moved. No, this is what I need you to do. I need it to be efficient so that we can make this work. So I'm teaching people what to do, what to look for, what to say along the way. Those are really my methods. I'm getting I'm mentally first before physically working on, mailers and bandit signs and Real Estate IQ has on and off market leads and things like that. So I'm getting involved in a little bit more of those things. But that's how I find the properties. And in order for me to buy, I just stick to the lender's term. They will fund 100% of the acquisition cost and the rehab if it's at 70% of the ARV. And that's how I want to buy them, because that's how I know that I'm gonna make a pocket full of money.
Yep.
Once I purchased over 70%, which I did, I made less money. So I won't touch it. If it's not the exact terms that the lender wants, I don't need it. I'm not going to overwork myself or overextend myself just to get a deal. It's not that serious. The right one will come, and what's for you is for you. And I have to tell people that all the time. I'm not just gonna take anything. 70% of ARV in a neighborhood where I feel safe and that I want to drive to every day, or I don't want it.
Awesome.
Do you use a tool to calculate your ARV? Like, where somebody that's a new investor, what would you tell them to calculate the ARV and determine whether this is a good deal?
Call a realtor and let a realtor run the comps, because it's harder for them to search. They may or may not be able to truly find the truest comps. Just find a realtor. Work with the realtor that most likely is not an investor, that's going to help you get the comps quick and on point as they are, because your lenders are going to want to see that in your property profile anyway. And most of them are realtors, so it's just your best bet, in my opinion, to just get with the realtor.
I meant internet as far as the calculator, the ARV calculator. But yes, absolutely, call a realtor for comps. You need comps for everything.
Yeah, that's it. 70% of the comp, the ARV.
Yeah.
I just want to jump in. I just want to jump in for any of our listeners who are like, what is an ARV? What is a comp? You hear these terms.
Yep.
I suggest you go back and listen to some of our earlier episodes and familiarize yourself, or you can Google, or you can DM us. We don't judge. There's no such thing as a dumb question. But what Brittney's talking about, ARV, is after repair value. Do you mind breaking down just really quickly what that is?
Sure. So your ARV, or your after repair value, is basically a sophisticated comparable property. So something that I can go online and I can identify what this property has sold for within the last 6 months. In the same neighborhood, in most cases in the same neighborhood, the same bedroom amount, the same amount of bathrooms, very similar square footage, give or take maybe, 50 to 100 square feet or something like that. Very similar lot size, almost a very similar property. It's funny because I just closed on one on Friday, and the guy was like, because we were all at the table together, kind of joking around the buyer. And he's like, next time you could drop that price down a little bit. I said, sir, let me tell you why I'm not going to drop my price. Because if you ever want to sell your houses, you're going to need these comps. So you're going to thank me for maintaining the property value in this neighborhood. I'm not dropping my price.
Yep.
Okay.
And I sold it for $164. And the comps are right at 165, 166. But there's so many other people in the neighborhood that are selling properties for lower prices. And it's not helpful for people who want to get market value, who are really putting the work into these properties and can sell at this amount. So you have to be consistent. And, unless there's a very sensitive situation where I have to, drop my price or, give seller concessions or something like that, I'm sticking to it. I have to maintain the value of the neighborhood. That's my duty and responsibility to the homeowners, to the realtors and everybody else.
For a flip, and for your personal, just from your perspective, what amount do you consider a good amount of a profit for a flip?
Anything above 25,000.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel the same. I'm just.
She's
but
happy.
That's 30 days. Now, when we get into my workload, my property management, my project management, my general contracting, because I do it all. I shop for my own materials. If it takes me more than 30 days to do the job, then I need to make more money. Now, that's not my average. My average is well above that, but I will accept a deal if my net is about 25. I'll take it.
Okay. That's just for, again,
I really need to finish the rehab in 2 weeks on that one.
we just saying, we have, you know, new investors that are listening and people who are beginning into it, and they're like, okay, well, what do I consider as a good investment? If I'm netting 10, is that good? And people don't understand that what, you know, even with one that Ebony and I are doing right now, the amount of time that it takes when you break that down and you do it by month, because this house has been sitting. I mean, it's supposed to close next week, God willing. But, you know, and COVID didn't help us in that instance, as far as when it literally went on the market right before that happened. So it was like a slow up, and it, you know, it beefed up, but it was still slow.
We're gonna do a show about this flip, guys.
Yeah, that's a whole nother one. But
we're gonna talk about it.
It's more so when you sit down and you talk about it and you look at the time divided by the months that it took, or the weeks that it took, or the time, and divide that out, because that's how you know where what your true money is, right? When you actually sit down and know your cost analysis and know how much you're making, even if you're netting 25K, but it took you 6 months to do that, that's not really a good deal, right? So that's the thing that you have to look at, you know, when we're looking at flips and talking about the time that it takes and the average, you know, because if our market is moving too slow, you may not want to buy in that area because it may not be moving fast enough for you. And those are just some tips that Brittney can help you in her class, you know, and stuff that we try to help you with here on the show.
That's why I buy and hold.
I like both. And, you know, you want to have a mix, and everyone's portfolio is different. People are going to say, oh, you need this and you need that. But again, I like a mix of both, because for me, I'm going to make a deal out of the deal. Right. So if it's not something that I want to personally flip, I might wholesale the deal, and people be like, why waste your time wholesaling? Because I'm going to take the few thousand. If it's going to make me $5,000 or $10,000 to wholesale this property and I don't have to do anything on it, and it's only going to take me a couple of weeks to do that, then I'm going to do it. I mean,
and reinvest that money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if I find something, or, you know, if we find something, if it's not one that I personally want to flip, I'm going to pitch it to some other investors, and I'm going to put my wholesale price on there. Hands down.
Put your wholesale price on it and sit on that money. And then maybe the next time you don't need to go to a lender, you sit on that money and you use your own money.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You create your own reserve or your nest egg. There's so many things that you can do.
Yep.
The options are endless.
Yep, absolutely.
I want to remind our viewers, don't let any amount discourage you. There's a deal that I couldn't sell, and so I end up renting it out, and I'll probably break even, or even if I lose a little bit, I learned along the process. So you have to figure out exactly what's your comfortable number. If 25 is, you know, peaches and cream, great. 5,000 may be okay. You know, it really depends on you. It depends on the workload. It depends on your time, your goals. You know, don't let any number discourage you, because it takes time to, you know, my first deal, I didn't make that. My second deal, I didn't make what, I mean, we netted that, but it was split deals, you know, so I didn't take home 25,000. So, you know, especially when you're partnering up and things like that, you have to figure out what's a good number for me and for my partner.
Yep, absolutely.
So I feel like this is just, I've learned something here today, right? As I did on the last show, of first of all, just how people can virtually network on all these different avenues and all these different ways, and how to finesse it. You know what I mean? How to finesse it. So, you know, you kind of know certain things, but how to finesse certain things, you know what I mean? How to intelligently do stuff and work it is good to hear, and it's good to have that reaffirmation from you guys. So I appreciate that. And all of you all are inspiring right now, because you all are focused, you guys are determined, you guys are motivated. And Brittney, I'm going to ask you as our guest, you know, what does your motivation come from right now? And I asked that question with the thought of everything going on in mind, with the heaviness of our hearts right now, with COVID, you know, happening, and affecting certain communities more so than others, or the Black community more, let's call it what it is, right? The Black community more than others. Seeing crimes, people murdered in the streets. I mean, just call it what it is. Where do you find your motivation and pull that from right now?
My biggest motivation right now is living life on my own terms. It is being able to, at the drop of a dime, do anything necessary, whether it's to help my family, whether it's to help my friend, whether it's to be involved in the community, you know, whatever it is. My biggest motivation and my biggest goal is just to position myself where under any circumstance I can do anything I need for myself or anybody else. And a lot of us don't get the opportunity to say that or to do that. And, you know, that can be an extension from, you know, donating $100 to $1,000 or $10,000. You know, one day if I choose to, and I'm in a position to, I may want to support or donate $100,000 to something or to someone. You know, I'm not there yet, but my biggest thing is being able to just be financially independent. And, you know, my dad, it's just him. You know, my mom is deceased and, you know, he's approaching retirement age. Anything that he needs is my goal, and I take it on as my duty to be able to support. If he calls me right now and says, baby girl, I need a $5,000 roof, here you go, I got you. If you ladies or, you know, one of my friends said, hey, Brittney, I just took a $2,000 loss on my business, can you support me? Here you go, I got you. You know, so I just really want to be in a position where I can live my personal life on my own terms, but it's not just about me. I'm not being blessed to just do what I want to do with my money and with my success and my knowledge. It's for me to share it and to teach and to support. So that's my motivation, is to really stay in this position. I'm in one of the best positions financially that I've ever been in my life, and I'm so grateful to God, you know, and to everybody around me. And I just want to continue to be a blessing to other people and, you know, just do what, you know, God put me here to do.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Man, you goals, Miss Golden. You goals, sis.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate having you back for part 2. This was as dope as part 1. Absolutely. And we just want to wrap it up. And do you guys have any closing remarks before we shut it down? No? All right. Well, I'll say go vote. Find out who your local officials are, your local judges. Find out what are their voting habits, what do they stand for, and find out how long their term is and vote them out, or make sure they stay in. So go vote.
I'll bring it back around. We're about the same time, Ebony. I'll bring it back around to what we started with, and something that we're really big in right now, I know I am, is investing in your neighborhood. I know I live in a Black community here in Dallas, and, you know, people are like, oh, you know, this is going on. My community has not stopped a moment. Nothing's been boarded up. No one has destroyed our neighborhood. And why? Because it's our neighborhood. So I feel like the more we put back into ourselves and our neighborhoods that we grew up in, even if you moved out of the hood, give back to the hood. You know what I mean? Like, build up our communities. That way you feel safe enough to take your kids to school there, and you feel safe enough to grocery shop there, and people and force the city to put money into your neighborhood. And that's another thing. Complete your census, because the census will get you money into your neighborhood.
I have something a little bit more. I have something a little bit more motivational to share. I just, you know, last week was really hard. It was really heavy with everything going on. And if you're an entrepreneur or if you're trying to do something different, you know, the current events can make you feel heavy, and it can be a little depressing. So I just wanted to remind everyone to remember why you're doing what you're doing, to remember that you got this. Don't let any outside circumstances slow you down. Remember, you are chosen. You're here for a reason. Don't get discouraged by what you see. Keep pushing forward. That's it.
Drop
like
the
it.
knowledge.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Again.
Well, thank you, ladies, for having me again. It was a pleasure, just the same as it was the first time, and I am always email away.
Yay.
I love it.
We're gonna do some JV somewhere along the line.
Friend for life. I love it.
All right. Well, y'all have a great night.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.